Hello, welcome to this video. In this one we're going to be going over Linux capabilities and how they can be used for privilege escalation. So before we start, for simplicity's sake, capabilities can sort of be looked at like sudo. They just give processes privileged access essentially. I'll go over what that means now. So what are capabilities? Capabilities are a per thread attribute utilised for permission checking. Privileged processes bypass all kernel checks. Unprivileged processes do not. So this was all found from the manual page of Linux capabilities. Basically all this means is that a process gets given like a set of I don't like defining what someone is by calling it what it is, but a set of capabilities essentially. So they're like a list of permissions basically, and if those permissions are set, it allows the process to do something. So the main idea behind capabilities, counterintuitively in this case, is it's trying to break up system privileges. So what that means is rather than giving like a one permission, or sorry, a permission that's quite general, so it allows multiple things to be done. Capabilities are very specific permissions that are meant to restrict what a process can do. In theory, increasing security, but obviously, like anything, anywhere, can always be exploited. So finding privileged processes, like we've done before, get cap-r. This will just search your system for any processes that have privileged capabilities in them, or just display the capabilities of them. So similar to SUID, you're looking for processes with specific capabilities set. If EP shows up next to a process, you should definitely look into that. So if you see a process with EP and you've got on your machine, you'd 100% want to look into it. As if you can run that, you should be able to escalate privileges from it, or potentially. It's obviously machine dependent. So other interesting capabilities to look for. This top one here. So you can read any file, it's unrestricted, and set UID. So although that's not a direct privilege escalation like EP is in, all the processes automatically a root level, this one is just means that you can set itself to root. So maybe it's not running as root. If it's given the permission to allow itself to set its UID as root, then you can escalate privileges that way. This at the bottom just shows a little example of how you would actually exploit a process with a given capability. So this one here, Python 2.7, as I've just explained here, the set UID. All this is doing is setting the Python process's UID to 0, and then all it's doing here is creating a little script to run a shell as root, and lo and behold, the shell's been spawned as root, obviously because it can now run system level processes. Like most things on this, guys, these are all from payloads, all things really easy to find. Obviously link to the specific section down below and some other resources capabilities as well, but it's all open source stuff. You don't need to find paid resources. A lot of it is just online. If you just obviously look hard enough in places like payloads or things where it's nice and neatly organised, things like that, you can find it all in there. So exploiting capabilities. To escalate privileges through processes with specific capabilities, you just have to run the process. What that means is, as you just saw in the last one, you would quite literally just find a process with, let's say, EP, so it can do everything, and then you'd run the process, and essentially you've got root basically. So in the previous example, allowing the Python process set the UID, then ran a script which set the process's UID to root, spawning a shell. From that, we've got root. If you want to practice this yourself, box. I was on this box last week actually as well. HCB cap. Now, believe it or not, when I once saw the title of the box, I didn't actually associate that with capabilities. I thought it was like like a capture file from like Wireshark, which if you play the box, once I saw that, I was like, I didn't even think about capabilities. Just out of pure coincidence, I actually ran the wrong command and didn't see it. However, after running the script, I then found what I was looking for, which did happen to be something very similar, and I realised my mistake. So in this example, we're just going to be going through how you would actually find and exploit Linux capabilities. So I am on a box. I'm not showing the full walk how you get to this point, but this is just the privesc for the cat box on at the box. So as you can see now, I'm root. Run again, still root. We're just going to go back to Nathan. So as you can see, I'm not root. I have no root privileges. Can't not root. So in order to determine if we can even escalate through capabilities, you want to check dead simple command get cap -r / I'm just going to be sending errors. We're not going to display errors. So right away we've got a few interesting ones. The first one that pings out is Python. This should be, if you ever see Python in this and you have these sort of capabilities set, this should be your alarm bell should be going off. And if you looked at these other capabilities, if you ever see EP, things like that, there's definitely you want to check them out as well. It just basically means you can do everything. And so all we're going to do is we are just going to run the application and just execute a little custom scripts. So that was the example that I was talking about before. As you can see, it just happens on this box, the same exact example works. So we have the capability to set UID. So from that, we can just do exactly that in Python. Run Python 3.8. As you can see, it's that version of Python. It's got multiple versions of Python. Unless capabilities are set for each specific process, it's not going to work. So we run 3.8 in it. We tell it to set the UID, and then it's going to spawn a bash shell, and then that gives us root. So if we navigate to root, we can see the root flag, things like that. There we go. Very simple. Again, on other Prevest through capabilities, you might see plus EP, things like that. That'll give you straight access. So if you just run that that program, you might not have to do some other setup. Whereas with this one, we have to spawn a shell a bit differently, but it's still obviously very simple. If you've got these sort of capabilities, just run the program and just look up different payloads, whatever application you'll be using.